Welcome to the Market Engage Thrive podcast, where we help you navigate the online marketing and entrepreneurial jungle. If you love marketing, automation, and all things productivity, you're going to like it here. And now, here is your host, Sam Piccarello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name is Sam Piccarello. I am a business strategist, and I am excited to have you join me today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to stay motivated when not seeing results. Motivation, obviously, as we all know, it's huge especially when you're self-employed, when you're a solopreneur, and we are challenged pretty much on a daily basis, regardless of what type of business that you're in, regardless of the experience that you bring in, and really regardless of how long you've been in business, because it is a challenge as you grow. Every time you're up leveling in your business, you will be challenged, and sometimes failure will happen regardless of how long you've been in business, your level of experience, your past successes. Failure does happen. So sometimes that can really suck the motivation out of you. So have you ever felt like giving up on your goal, maybe after weeks of working on it, or maybe months, or maybe even years of pursuing that goal without getting any results or not achieving the results that you wanted to achieve? If that it sounds like you, then you're not alone, because it happens to just about everybody. Quite often, those who are successful, they didn't become successful overnight, and they were not successful at the first thing they've tried. Usually, they've tried a few other projects or a few other ventures, and they had failures, and then they had successes, but all you know about is the success, because that's what we see. We just see everybody else's highlight reel, and we don't really, because nobody really talks a lot about the negative stuff, which is failure is a negative. And in business, if you go and ask any successful person that you can think of, just about any of them, and if you ask them about failure, all of them are going to tell you they've had multiple failures in their journey to success. So it doesn't usually just happen out of the gate. Yes, sometimes it does, where people, they come out the gate and they have huge successes, but they're just the exception. They're not the rule. The majority of people who are successful, they've had failures in the past. So that's failure to the side. So today we're going to focus on how to stay motivated when you're not seeing the results. Sometimes the results could be a failure. If you're not seeing what you expect, then probably just something is not working. So I'm just going to run through a list of really tips, things that you can kind of put in place and help you stay motivated, because you will face failure. You will have projects that don't work out. You will have things that you set your heart on, that you've put a lot of work into, and they just don't pan out for any number of reasons. And it's crucial for you to keep yourself in check, to keep your spirits up and keep yourself motivated, because once you lose motivation, obviously, I'm going to be Captain Obvious here, but if you don't have the motivation, it's going to be really hard for you to be excited and be productive and really keep pursuing that goal and that dream that you had set for yourself. So number one tip is keep calm. If you've launched a project or a service or a product and it did not work out the way you had expected it to, keep calm. The reason why I say that is because business is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So it's not just, at the gate, work hard for 3 months and then everything's going to become easy. That's not quite how it works. So keep that in mind. Stay calm. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And overnight success, those are the exception. They're not the rule. Most people, they have to fall on their face a few times in order for them to actually become successful. So that was number one. Number two is keep things in perspective. So your efforts didn't work out. Whatever it is that you've tried, that you've done, it just did not work. It's essential for you to keep it in perspective. And the way you do that is by asking yourself why. Why didn't things work out? Not just feel sorry for yourself, but be objective. Why things didn't work out? Is it the action plan that was not right for what you're trying to accomplish? Or was the goal itself? Was the action plan, was it the plan, was it the goal that did not work? Because sometimes we could end up setting goals that are yes, they're lofty, they're big, we're encouraged to dream big, but if you don't have the resources and the foundation in place to support that goal, you will not get to it. An example would be somebody who is new to an industry and then they want to launch something, for example, like a course or program or something, and they price it at a couple of $1,000s, and then they have a list of maybe 300 people, and then they want to sell the program to 100 people. So the math in this case just does not jive. If the goal is to sell 100 to the current tribe list that they have 300, the program is like 2,000, and they want to sell it to 100 people, so they want to convert a third of their email list to be buyers for a reasonably, it's mid-level, mid-range priced program for like $2,000, then that goal is not quite feasible if you have not done a lot of the groundwork that you need to have done prior to launching the program. So that's one of the essential steps, is that you keep things in perspective and then really reflect on, was it the plan that you had put in place? How you're going to promote the thing? How you're going to launch the thing? The preparation that you need to do prior to launching the thing? Or is it the actual goal itself that was unreasonable because you did not have the foundational elements, the groundwork in place? It was not done. Therefore, that goal was not quite right for you at this moment in time. So that's how you keep things in perspective, and it's our job to step outside the box pretty much on a regular basis to make sure that we are doing things that are appropriate for our stage of growth and not try to go from crawling to sprinting in 2 weeks, because it works for some very, very, very small minority that it does work for. And the third element of keeping things in perspective is, as I said, the action plan was not effective. The goal was not quite right for your stage of business. And then number 3 is take inventory. And what I mean by that is reflect on how far you've come. And again, we're still talking about how to stay motivated when you're not seeing results. It's one thing that we're not very good at doing as small business owners, is that we don't pause to look back and appreciate how far we've come, how much we have grown. So this is part of the process, really, when you're starting to feel like the motivation is getting sucked out of you because things are not going the way you want them to. Take a moment, reflect, realize how far you've come along, realize how much you've grown, realize how much you've learned. As I'm sure everything that we do and any kind of feedback, be it positive or negative, there is a lesson in that, and that is a learning journey, because we're always learning, we're always improving. So I encourage you to do that, and always give yourself space and give yourself time. And realize that you don't have to do everything at someone else's pace. Everybody's pace is different. Everybody's baseline knowledge, experience is different. And it's up to you to make sure that you're not measuring your success against other people's, but really being realistic about your level of experience, your level of knowledge, and in your foundation. Maybe you don't have a presence as big as the next person who had $1 million launch. Maybe you don't have the ideal client figured out as well as the next person. Always take a moment and then take inventory, and then really just reflect on how far you've come, and really be grateful for the growth and be grateful for every experience, be it positive or negative, because whatever it is that you've done today and it did not work out, yes, it's going to be, it's going to be a blow. Yes, it's going to suck. It's not going to feel good, but there is feedback. And that is the last part of taking inventory, is that every time you do something, whether it works or not, take a few minutes to recap and really go over, like debrief, really, like a military debrief, and review what is it that you've done, what worked, what did not, and what you think would work better next time, because that's essential, and what you think you could drop next time, or what is it that you think maybe you should have done more of to improve the results. And we're talking about just about anything. Maybe it's just an outreach email you didn't get a response to, maybe it's a phone call that didn't work out so well, maybe it's a webinar, whatever it is that you're doing in your business. We often have to deal with negative results or just deal with just no outcomes. We're not getting what we want out of the project. So it's always good to go back and then do a debrief and really kind of deconstruct the steps that you've taken, what you've done, and what you could do better, because that's how you learn from experiences. Because you have to take, the only way to learn is really take a few minutes and then reflect on what you did, and actually, better still, document it so that you can have a map or a blueprint, really an outline of what worked for you and what did not, because we don't want to be reinventing the wheel each time. We want to create things that we can just rinse and repeat, things that work. So as we go through our little failures, our little setback, we're getting feedback so we can improve our processes and then put them to work for us again in the very near future. And that's how we move towards getting better results, because there's really not much you can get from anybody that you can put to work in your business and then be guaranteed results that the other person who sold it to you says they got. There's no way, because everybody's business is different, everybody's circumstances is different, and everybody's ideal audience and a client base and stage are completely different. Regardless of what it is, what someone teaches you or what course you get, or you always have to customize it. And the only way to do that is to take it, implement it, and then take the feedback and then adapt it to the feedback that you got, what you need to do, what you need to change. So that's the number 3, take an inventory. And then number 4, to stay motivated when you're not getting the results that you want, is revisit your why. And it sounds very woo-woo, but sometimes we do lose track of why we're doing what we're doing. Sometimes our focus shifts to other things that we're not supposed to be focusing on. Sometimes we do take on projects. They may not be that critical to our core mission, but we take them on anyway, and sometimes they don't work out. So it's always good to go back and revisit your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's your mission? And what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your business? What is the goal of it all? And was that project really that essential to your why, to your mission? If anything, if there is no logic there, really, it's just for you to motivate yourself to kind of revisit the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and then really help you get through the hard times, get through the negative periods. And then number 5 is find a support system. And this is actually the most essential element of staying motivated, I think, is a lot of us, especially us working from home, small business owners, we are pretty much cut off from the world except for the online interactions that we may have or clients that we talk to on the phone. But what a lot of us are missing is a support group, and it is a group of your peers. They may not be in the same space as you. They may not have the same clients as you. They may not have the same business as you. But most likely, if they are a small business owner and they're online, they can most likely relate to a lot of things that you're feeling, that you are going through. And then it's always a fantastic idea, and actually it's essential to surround yourself with like-minded people who share your mission, people who are going through the same things that you are. You're focused on growing your business, balancing a family, staying healthy, staying happy. So that's one of the essential things. And I know a lot of people do find that in Facebook groups, or you can join a mastermind, or you can create your own local group. You can find people online you can connect with who are doing the same thing. Maybe they live in your town, and then you have somebody you can call, or you can find someone who you get along with, and they can be your accountability partner. You can just call them whenever you feel like you need, just to kind of vent and talk to someone, and they can do the same. So you support each other and kind of help keep each other accountable. You'll be surprised if you have not taken that step. Just find somebody to hold you accountable, and you do the same for them, and you will notice you will be more motivated, and it's just like a natural, it's not really competition, but it is, because there's somebody holding you to your word. Because quite often we find it very easy to break our promises to ourselves, but it's a lot harder to break a promise to somebody else. So that's where the accountability can come in, and the support system. So number 5 was find a support system. And then number 6 is to renew your motivation every day. And I think that's one thing, that's one of the reasons why, New Year's resolutions, they don't last very long, because we make them and then we just go about doing. Say you want to lose weight, you start going to the gym, you start get on a diet, you're changing everything all at the same time. And then usually come like mid-February, March, and then everything's gone, and you stop going to the gym, you stop the diet. That happens to most people. I think it's a very tiny percentage of people who actually see their New Year's resolutions through, and usually that's because the motivation is not renewed, because making any change, big or small, is challenging. And then the biggest aspects of it, not just the education, but actually staying motivated and then staying focused on that goal. And that's why I think it's essential to renew your motivation every day. And the way to do that is to really revisit your goals on a daily basis. I recommend that all the time. Revisit what it is that you said you would do, revisit why you're doing it, revisit what the future would look like once you've accomplished those goals. And that's how you renew your motivation. One of the ways you can do it is you can just rewrite them. If you have an annual goal, if you have a quarterly goal, if you have a 5-year goal, it's probably going to be a couple of sentences, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 sentences. And then just make sure you rewrite those every single day just to keep them front and center and kind of keep you focused on the why you're doing what you're doing. So when things are challenging, you don't really have to dig deep to find the motivation, because you already kind of refilled it, restocked it at the beginning of your day to make sure that you are, ready to go and focused, and you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. Because sometimes it can feel like we're doing all kinds of stuff and you kind of forget why you're doing it. Why am I doing what I'm doing? I don't even know why, because we get busy, we get sidetracked, and we get overwhelmed. Sometimes we forget why. Why did I do this? I don't even remember what the thought process was or what the decision process was. And that's why renewing your motivation is really one of the important or most important elements to make sure that you really stay pumped and excited and motivated even when things are not working. Really prepare yourself, because 99, I would say 99, that's a huge percentage, but if you ask any successful person whether if everything they've done had worked out, they'll tell you no, it hasn't. They had more failures than they've had successes, but the successes that they've had are what people are focusing on. And then you can ask them if they had back-to-back failures. They probably tell you yes, they've had back-to-back failures, because that's how you learn. It doesn't matter what program, course, or coach that you have. Nothing is, it may look like it's cookie cutter, but each business is different. Each person is different. And what worked for somebody may not work as well for you. It could be for different reasons, many, many different reasons, actually. It could be they have a bigger platform than you. Maybe their product is different than you. Their audience is different. We cannot compare. And I think that's why sometimes we kind of sold that really a bit of a myth that if you spend tons of money on programs and courses, and then everything you're going to touch is going to turn to gold, which is not true at all. It happens, but it's very, very, very tiny percentage of people that it happens to. And I think that there's a disservice to a lot of small business owners, because they are sold this fake idea that if you go and spend $15,000 on a program, that you're going to get out of that program and you're going to be making $100,000 a month. It happens. People buy it. People believe it. And it's human nature to want to be successful. It's human nature to want to do things faster, to get there faster. So they think if I invest in this thing, then I'm going to get there now. But that's not quite how it works. So I think we just have to be realistic as well, realistic of your expectations. And then every time you're doing something, just really approach it from like a child's experiment. Like, okay, I'm going to do this and see what happens. Especially if you are a novice, if you're a beginner, or if you've just been in business online for a couple of years, there is no way for you, regardless of who you're paying for advice, there is no way to know for sure that something's going to work for you unless you go and do it and then get feedback and then improve on the process, improve on whatever it is that you're doing every time you get feedback. So no results is data. No results is feedback. And you can take that and then really use it. Use that feedback. What did not work? If it's emails you send in, people are not getting back to you. That's strange. Let me try a different email. I'll send that and see people, and I'll send the different email and see people get back to me. If you are selling a product or service, then you can look at what did your marketing campaign look like? Maybe did you tell people about it enough times? Maybe you did not tell people about it enough times. Maybe you told the wrong people about it. Maybe your dollar goal was not realistic based on the numbers that you had. Maybe your list hadn't heard from you for 6 months, and then suddenly you're sending them emails trying to sell to them. Of course, they probably don't even open your emails anymore, so they're not going to buy from you. So these are all things that we have to keep in mind and we have to keep in check, and just make sure that whatever it is that we do, you step away from your business and think of it, step outside the box really, and then look at the processes that you have in place, look at the campaigns, the plan, and then ask yourself, does this make sense from a customer point of view, from a client point of view? Does this make sense? If this person has not heard from me for 3 months, does it make sense for me to send them this email? If the answer is no, then you need to go do something different. So, but you really can't shield yourself from seeing no results. You can't shield yourself from failure, because the only way to shield yourself from failure is not to do anything at all. That's the only way you can shield yourself from it. If you don't try, you're not going to fail. But if you don't try, you're not going to get anywhere, clearly, because you're not doing anything. So the only way to protect yourself from failure is to do nothing. But if you are willing to risk it all and risk failing and picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and then doing and trying again, is that just approach it from a student's perspective, because each feedback, each step forward or step back is telling you something, and then learn from that, and then take that and implement it in your business, and then try different things. You always have to keep experimenting, trying different things until you find what truly works for you. And once you do, then you have it. It's done. Right? You can move on to another thing and a new thing. You can try it, fail at it, try it, fail at it, try it, fail at it, and then you'll succeed at it. And that's how it works. That's a cycle. So really, it's very hard to be confident as a entrepreneur. The only way you're going to build confidence is by doing the work and then getting the feedback. And then it's going to hurt. It's going to suck. And then because you're going to fail. But then when you do succeed, eventually it's going to feel really good. And it's going to be really going to just build up and up and up and up. And then really help boost your confidence to just new levels that you probably never thought that you could have. And one final takeaway for anybody who's listening who may not be in business for more than 5 years, maybe they're fairly new, they've been in business for a couple of years, is sometimes with motivation and confidence. They have a big issue with that because they're not quite sure of their position in the marketplace. They don't feel like maybe they've had enough experience to consider themselves to be an expert or someone who knows much about a topic or a subject or a product that they're selling, whatever it is that they're doing. I always recommend, and you've probably heard this before, when you're younger in sports, at the job, when you go for an interview, you're told just to fake it until you make it. And fake it until you make it, that is not to deceive people, but it's really to motivation and confidence. Just fake that. Just kind of make yourself believe that you're confident, make yourself believe that you're motivated, and you will start to feel motivated, rather than kind of getting stuck in that mindset of, and I call it like the quicksand mindset. If it's negative, it's self-doubt, and you're feeling down and you're unconfident and you keep telling yourself that, then you just become that thing. So we are whatever we believe we are, whatever we tell ourselves we are. So tell yourself that you're a confident person, tell yourself that you're a motivated person. And then eventually, as time goes by, as you're taking action, you will grow more motivated and more confident. And you won't need anything to keep you motivated, because once you start seeing results, that's the motivation. That's what motivates me. And I think it's for most people, when we see results, we're motivated. It's just that when we're stagnating and things are not working, life can kind of get sucked out of you and you get into the funk, and sometimes it can seem like it's hard to get out of it. So fake it until you make it. Get yourself pumped up. If you feel like you're doubting yourself, go for a walk. Think about something positive and really lift yourself up instead of bringing yourself down, and really watch your internal dialogue. Be nice to yourself. Make sure that you're talking to yourself in a nice way, because I know quite often we can be pretty mean to ourselves. Nobody hears that, but in your head, it's like, oh my gosh. Be kind to yourself, be good to yourself, and the motivation is within you. You need to find a way to keep yourself motivated. And if you just go through these little steps, that will help you really get through the tough stages, get through the rough patches. And really, these periods of doubt, of lack of motivation, of failure, things don't work, they're going to repeat themselves over and over again, because Doesn't matter who you are. Even Coca-Cola, they have failures. Even Apple, they have failures. Once in a while, they have a failure. So it's okay to fail. There's just data, just the marketplace telling you, this is not for me, or was not the right offering. This was not the right way to approach something. So it's going to happen again and again. So it's really essential for you to develop the skills and the routines to keep that in check and make sure that it does not become like a huge wall or a huge block for you and prevent you from moving forward, because you don't want that. We want to keep moving forward. We want to keep looking forward to a failure, looking forward to feedback, looking forward to critical feedback. That's like the negative kind, because that tells you what you need to improve. It's very easy. Sometimes I ask people for some feedback on the podcast or a couple of things that I'm doing. And, people start with the pleasantries. Oh, it was this and that. It's like, that's not what I want to hear. That's what I tell them. I don't want to hear the pleasantries. I want to hear the critical feedback, because that gives me something to act on. I will not change something just because one person told me, but once I do talk to a few people or hear from a small group of people, then if I see a common theme amongst them, then I can take that and implement it. So of course, I'm not kind of blown in the wind depending on what one person would tell me, but I need that critical feedback so that I know why I can improve, because my goal is not to just stagnate and have people cheer me on and tell me I'm doing it awesome. It's for me to just tweak everything, adjust everything, and keep growing and keep improving and keep growing and keep improving, because that's what I thrive on. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for lending me your ears. If you found this helpful, please make sure that you subscribe and leave a review. Let me know what you think. And you can also join us over at the Facebook community. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff happening this week and next week and for the rest of the month. You can find that at sampicarello.com/group. That's the Facebook group. You can go over there and join us, ask your questions, and get feedback. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.